What is a subtle sign that someone is really intelligent? They can ask really good questions. Edit. To anyone not understanding what mean. I'm talking about people who ask really good questions. Not just any questions. Really good ones. I don't know how one would achieve this skill. I know I haven't. Edit 2. Since this comment is getting a lot of attention, I'd like to say, don't forget to drink your Ovaltine. I worked with a lad who was very like this. He could make any conversation really intriguing and thought-provoking, often causing people to reconsider their perspective and position. He was a HR manager that could defuse any situation, helping people mend bridges and resolving issues because he could get both parties to compromise and put aside resentment. He had eye connect to go a lot further than the role he was in, but he was happy, and maybe that is another little tidbit of intelligence. When they explain something, they make you feel intelligent. I like this one. Explaining something complex in simple terms. Knowledge is so vast that they can talk about in the easiest way for someone else to understand. People who use analogies to explain concepts to others. It's a form of code switching, and integrating concepts on the fly is a clear indicator someone is both socially and conceptually intelligent. Edit. As many have pointed out, not all analogies are helpful or make sense to others. So a useful analogy that creates an aha moment for someone is a wonderful thing. An analogy is an association, a mental process of connecting an idea or thing to a relatable image for someone who can then see and digest the initial representation. Not using analogies doesn't mean someone can't be intelligent. And social intelligence doesn't mean social ease and charisma. It means an awareness that one's own understanding and experience often has to be translated in ways that others can relate to. Jim, would you prefer a nature metaphor or sexual metaphor? They spend time thinking before asking a question. Or answering one. They can genuinely consider an idea which opposes their worldview without necessarily accepting it. I've got a bone or two to pick with Aristotle, but I can vibe with his misquoted, "It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought and not accept it." They can switch up the way they talk to match the person they're talking to without sounding condescending. They listen to how others learn and explain it in that person's language of understanding. They aren't afraid to say they don't know the answer to a question. They know when their knowledge ends and say something to the extent of "I don't know and anything else I say on this topic is ignorant speculation." They admit to changing their mind about something. I'm not sure if this marks brilliance, but the inability to change your mind when presented with new evidence is absolutely ignorance. They effortlessly communicate complex concepts in a simple way. My father-in-law is very smart. Went to MIT and Caltech. Founded and sold several businesses. Published books that are still in circulation. Holds several patents and now is working in the immunotherapy space. Anyway, I'm just a typical Midwestern state college grad. And the things I've learned about cancer and the various treatments from him are amazing. These are technical, medical, biological concepts that I could learn if I read 100 books. But he can somehow explain them in such a simple and relatable terms I feel like I really understand. It's a gift of genius. They can follow the plot of Kingdom Hearts without needing any line graphs or charts. Till. No one is intelligent. Massive alien forehead. Does receding hairline count? They are curious about everything. To be intelligent you need to be knowledgeable, and you can't be knowledgeable if you are never curious. You can memorize a bunch of random facts and repeat them. That's knowledge. But knowing what to do with that knowledge, how to apply it, how to make sense of it, is what I think real intelligence is. Richard Feynman captured that mindset perfectly in his book. Admitting when they're wrong and being willing to learn from mistakes. I feel like this is more the wisdom stat than intelligence. They say they love learning and they learn something new every day. Then they listen more than talk. Yes. And they ask questions about new topics that come up in conversation rather than seem threatened that the conversation left their domain. And their questions are thoughtful. Deleted. Never argue with idiots. They will bring you down to their level and beat you with experience. Mark Twain. I think intelligent people are more willing to calmly debate, discuss, rather than argue. Like, you explain to them why you disagree, and they listen to you and ask further questions about your viewpoint before offering a different perspective, as opposed to an unintelligent person who would just resort to insults when other people disagree with them. You can't win an argument with an idiot. Care to argue? You won't win. They draw wisdom from multiple sources. Wait, but that might be more wise than intelligent. But I guess those two tend to be seen together a lot. It is important to draw wisdom from many different places. If we take it from only one place, it becomes rigid and stale. Iron. Humor. I think that truly funny people are often very smart and cognizant of the different ways an idea can be humorous on several levels. They also know their audience. I think the difference between, say, a Jeff Foxworthy and a Dave Chappelle and a Bo Burnham is their audience and their interests. I spent some time with Buddhist monks from various Asian countries, and one notable thing they all had in common was how much they laughed and joked. Just a happy, hilarious bunch all around. One I remember, my roommate and I slept through the 6 a.m. meditation and saw the teacher at lunch. Oh sorry. He laughed and said, "You were doing the sleeping meditation? Lol." Talking to people as if they're intelligent at their level and without being condescending or even letting on that it's lower than their level. I used to work with a doctor, Tom Howard, and the day I realized he was a genius was the time he guessed every single condition a patient of mine had based on minute pieces of information about him. Let me guess. It's not lupus. They're logical. And they find out more information rather than believing something right away. They don't brag about it. They don't open up threads like these hoping to find comments that fit how they see themselves. Yeah, I see you looking through these comments. But I don't like to brag and still crave some validation. You shouldn't ask Reddit about intelligence. This guy is a genius. You can honestly just tell by their vibes. The way they compose themselves. Talk, write, think, explain, etc. What I find the most interesting is that intelligent people, in my experience, are more likely to be less cold fact driven and more theoretical and creative. For example, if an intelligent person were to read a certain stat, fact, idea, etc., they are likely to have very interesting theoretical extrapolations. My friend qualified for the Mentor membership, and whenever we talk, his mindset always strays towards very interesting outlooks. He has certain ideas that I would never have even thought about. It's actually very fun to talk to intelligent people. The way they are able to absorb information like a sponge and apply that information is very eye-opening. I've always told people that there is knowledge and intelligence. I've met a lot of people that are dumb as a post, but know a whole lot of random facts. Anyone can be knowledgeable. Intelligence is different. Knowledge is what you know. Intelligence is that ability to synthesize what you know and apply it elsewhere effectively and accurately. They understand what you're saying before you're even done with your explanation. I think this can go both ways. I have to remind myself not to jump to conclusions in conversation regularly. It can also come off as rude. They're curious as heck. There is also this lovely thing I like to call intelligence by association. I am a prime example of this. My small rural town seems to think I'm a genius simply because I can read at a level above your average 4th grader, when in fact I'm a high-functioning moron. If you are the smartest person in the town, move to another town, become the mayor and rule over the plebs. They listen really well, and seek to understand when they listen. Intuition. Underrated comment. Highly intelligent individuals synthesize input from all their senses, and know what is right, even if they cannot fully explain why they know. People who are genuinely curious about the world, ask questions, and listen to others instead of just waiting for their turn to talk. Also, they don't view education as just a means to get a job. They solve math problems left on the board, admit, and they're only a janitor. Active eyes. But not in an "I'm tweaking right now" way. I think this is largely because depression often impacts creativity, interest, and speed of thought. I've found that people can come off as a bit slow when they aren't truly stupid, just struggling with mental health issues. Curiosity. Pursuing things they want to know for about and just having an interest in things. People who don't understand the difference between intelligence and social skills. Dynamism and creativity. I really don't agree with that old notion of an intelligent person as someone with social difficulties who's good at logical thinking. This is just one single possibility, among dozens of others. This is more of a hit or miss one, but in casual conversation they're good at puns. Wordplay. Making good puns, especially spontaneously, requires a higher level of understanding in whatever language is being spoken. If they tell you a pre-constructed joke that has a punchline, that is a pun. A punchline if you will, you can't really tell. Because they could have had a lot of time to come up with it, like me for instance. Or they could have memorized it from somewhere. But spontaneous puns generally mean they're processing your conversation multiple interpretations at once. In an intelligent way. This is my excuse for blurting whatever terrible puns come to mind to whoever may have the misfortune of talking to me. I am unstoppable. Great sense of spatial awareness at grocery store. As an English teacher, I'm probably biased, so take my opinion for what it is. That said, I can often identify a brilliant student by the way he uses written language. It's hard to explain. It's not just vocabulary. And it's not the concepts communicated in the writing, it's the fullness and maturity of the writer's voice, which encompasses the aforementioned and then some. The piece of writing often sounds like it could not possibly have been authored by the student. Stay away from my comments and post history, please. They can fill in the blanks and skip steps. But they also recognize when it's unwise to skip steps. I really like this topic. I like the topic. I don't agree with the answers. Half of the comments are stuff that has nothing to do with being smart. Just a shitload of positive traits you can have while still being dumb. They completely align with my political views. A lot of these responses seem more about self-confidence. Admit you're wrong. Confidence. Admit you don't know something. Confidence. Change your opinion when presented with new information. Confidence with a dash of intelligence. Intelligence indicators IMO. The ability to quickly grasp and apply new concepts is a huge indicator. The ability to clearly communicate concepts across specialties, huge education or experience gaps. Using generic problem-solving skills on new and unfamiliar problems without prior knowledge of the space. Someone who knows. They know nothing at all. Intelligent people often go against the trends and immediately point out when something doesn't make sense even if it's supported by a large crowd of people. They often read things they disagree with in order to challenge themselves. They hear more than they talk and usually know all the answers for your questions. People who get excited when they're wrong. Like, smart people get disappointed too, especially if their misunderstandings are the cause of larger problems. But there's also a kind of underlying excitement of, wait, whoa, this works different than I thought. Interesting. Oh ho ho. Then what is the truth? And what does that mean for 17 other linked concepts? They're hilarious. Their curiosity and urge for learning. You see them trying to learn from other people. Lateral thinking. Seeing connections between disparate subjects, concepts, whatever, that most people can't or won't.